yesterday. Remarkable for the almost chaos, but by and large, crowds were there, and what else can you do but queue up? After all, they had been shut away for a couple of days. And what was remarkable was how very well the Sri Lanka police were in their policing activities, keeping semblance of law and order, and by and large, people who were queuing up and so on, they obeyed the rules, they kept their social distancing. That's the latest buzzword, social distancing, and everything seemed to go rather well. But equally, there were still a rising number of curfew violators, people who were not being very responsible at all. And we will later in the program show you the difference between policing a la Sri Lanka and in other places around the world, at least two places. I will show you that a little bit into the program. But this morning we're joined, and we're very grateful for these officers for taking time out. We're joined by DIG Priyantha Jayakodi. Very good morning to you.
Good morning, Faraz. Good morning to all the viewers.
Thank you very much for being on the program, and especially us also, I think it'd be appropriate if I thanked the police for the wonderful work that they're doing around the country.
Yeah, Faraz, not only the police, all the segments of this process are doing their best during this very crucial period. I mentioned this as the 11th hour of the nation. Wow. Because we are in a little tricky situation. Now this combating the coronavirus, COVID-19, there are three segments involved. The number one is the medical expertise, that means including the virologists, doctors, paramedics, nurses, everyone. Then the second is the administrative structure, government, triforces, police, and all other administrative people whom are implementing the law and the other issues. The third is the community.
Right.
According to my assessment so far, the first two is doing their best, but the big question is whether the third segment, the most important segment of this process, whether they are working with their full-fledged. And this is a big question. That's why you have mentioned so many curfew violators. Yesterday we have noticed in some places people are keeping their social distance in the queues, but in some places like fish markets and the economical centers, and people are gathered, they totally forgot the cruciality of this issue, and this is the most important, and we want to draw people's attention towards this issue, because we have faced so many threats in our tenure in couple of years, during couple of decades, because but we never faced for such a dangerous situation, because most of these situations are security related situations. But now we are facing the epidemic situation, the global pandemic situation.
Indeed. Well, while you're talking about the policing, we came across these couple of clips from the World Wide Web. I want to, if you permit me, DIG, I want to play this because it will drive home the message that in Sri Lanka actually we've got it pretty good. Let's take a look at this clip. We'll play it a couple of times, but first of all, this is round one. Let's play round one and let's see how it goes. All right, here we go. Now this is in India.
Yes. Please on rampage. Should you discuss the police? All my.
It's crazy. They're getting beaten up.
Yes.
Oops, here's. And this is Miami apparently.
Yes, it looks like Miami.
There you go. Did you? I showed that just so that we could drive the point home that the policing in Sri Lanka is, it's that much better,
Yeah.
so much better.
Yeah. For us, I don't want to underestimate our community up to that level, because so far we have not faced such a situation, but there are curfew violators who may have seen. They are involving in illicit jamming and illicit brewing Iraq during this curfew period. But this is the most important issue, because during the last period, last 10 years, when we catch a person for violating curfew, we have to send them to courts, we have to send them to the jail, the final, we have to send them to the jail. But this issue, there is no courthouses, no jail. After this, straight there is a way to the graveyard. People have to decide this. That's why even I told this during the previous programs also.
Fascination, yeah.
There's nothing to bargain. This is the tussle between the life and death. Our people have to realize we don't want to bring them up to the level of this Indian community or the one which you showed in the Miami, but I think our community is much civilized and much better. And but only thing we have to understand this situation, because for us now under this curfew, during this curfew hours, we'll have to balance we'll have to do the social balancing also, because there are people whom have not earned their day-to-day life, day-to-day wages, and then government is trying their level best to provide the rations, and that is the best thing I feel, because now at the moment we are monitoring over 21,000 self-quarantines. Self-quarantine persons, the Sri Lanka police's major job to monitor their movements, because time to time with the assistance of the paramedics, the health officers, the PHIs, and these people self-quarantine within their residence, and the police is monitoring them and to restrict their movements, and that is the best way for keep this the spreading of this epidemic, and in that way we are a little success, and I should say that we are okay, but we can't be happy, because in 1918 the last epidemic situation, at that time the Sri Lankan population was 4.6 million, 46 lakhs.
Right.
But out of 46 lakhs, 70,000 has died.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a quite a percentage, but it's quite a big amount.
Indeed.
We'll have to consider these things, because that's why I mentioned you, this is the 11th hour of the nations, and we'll have to be very conscious about the government's instruction, the medical instructions, especially to wash your hands, to keep the social distance. And Sri Lanka police is doing their best, because I knew that so many police officers, especially as you mentioned earlier, so many police officers involving in this process. We are doing the monitoring of this self-quarantine process and maintaining law and order, maintaining curfew and restricting the movements of the people from district to district, from place to place.
Indeed.
And we need the support of the community. That's why at the very beginning I told that this combating the COVID-19 process, we need the combination of these three segments: medical expertise, the government and the authorities, plus the community. The big question is whether the most important segment is involved in this process at the moment.
Which is the people.
Yeah, this is the people, because this is totally attitude changing process, because people have to understand this situation. This is not the security situation which we have gone through, but this is totally different. The world pandemic situation, and then we have to be very much cautious for this situation.
So what more can we do to drive the point home that this is a serious situation?
Yes, because now currently the government has taken so many steps to restrict the movements of the people, because so far we don't know. At the moment we are having over 102 infected people. Infected, that means they are considering as the patients. But according to the system of this spreading this virus, still we don't know how many people have associated closely with them and how many are infected.
Indeed.
Then these infected people are the most dangerous people whom can spread this virus.
Right.
And at what we have to do is we'll have to control their movements, because we have taken so many steps like social distance and keep them under quarantine, the self-quarantine. The self-quarantine means they have to think about this, because they have suspected as infected people. They are not infected.
Or they've been exposed to somebody.
Then they should not expose to somebody else's, and they should not give this to somebody else's. They should not spread this to the community. It's a very serious offense. Under the Act number 2 of 1898, the quarantine ordinance, and not cooperative with the authorities, that means the health authorities, maybe security forces.
Sorry, can I just interrupt you 1 second? 1898.
Yes.
All that way back, people.
Yes. This is the colonial. This is an ordinance imposed during the colonial period.
Wonderful, isn't it?
Yes.
That such systems were in place even all those years ago.
Yes, because in 1918 we faced for this Spanish flu epidemic. And this is that much far and very outstanding law, and the Minister of Health can make so many regulations under this ordinance, because
so it helps to have a Minister
of Health empowered to introduce the laws, regulations, and if the people are violating this regulation, they are liable for 6 months rigorous imprisonment. Rigorous imprisonment, plus to seize their properties and to fine, and all these strict laws are there.
Very onerous obligations.
Exactly.
Penalties.
Yes.
Then I just wanted to ask you many questions, and thank you very much for sending us your questions by SMS only, please. 0772 300 305, and Harshna, our producer, is hot off the mark. It's on your screen right now. 0772 300 305. Thank you. And amongst those questions is, the first one is there a curfew going on in Colombo now?
Yes.
When will it finish?
That is until further notice. That means the authorities have to decide the lifting time of the curfew, because earlier they notified it will be ending on 6th morning of the Friday.
Yeah.
But later its turn because it will be the time will be notified according to the expertise.
Right.
Advice.
So until further notice.
Yes.
Right. So remember that, all you people in Colombo, the curfew is on. You're not to go gallivanting off on the streets because Act number 2 of 1898, under the quarantine ordinance, and violations of curfew regulations come into force with full force. And whilst the police and the tri-forces are very nice at the moment, if you cross them, you may well be in deep trouble, as those clips from before showed you. Now, another question come from somebody else is, why doesn't the police name and shame these offenders, publish the names of all these offenders, the curfew violators?
Yes, the curfew violators up to day before yesterday mornings, ending the morning 6th of day before yesterday, it was 1,794.
Yes.
Now that amount has increased more than 2,100.
Yes.
But we are going to take very stern action, legal action against them in court for violating the curfew regulation, because we have to be very much strict on this issue, because as I mentioned earlier, the restrictions of the movement of people is very much necessary at this level.
Another question, this is a bit more practical. Why don't the authorities name the people who have been exposed or infected, so that then other people will know whether they came into contact with person A or person B or whatever it is?
Yeah, for us it's a matter of ethics, ethical issue, because that have to be decided by the medical expertise, whether because I am not in a position to answer your question, but the opinion or my view is, now most of these infected people are treating in the hospitals, but they are not in the society. The problem is the persons whom have suspected as infected,
Right.
because those people were limited to to their residence and under the self quarantine. These people, we have faced a sticker on their houses, and under this their notice is there, it has been pasted to their houses and the places where they quarantine.
Oh, I see. So
Yes.
there is a notice.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. You can see that the outside of the house or the entrance to the house, this house is under the quarantine process.
So that's excellent news. I didn't really know that these
Yes.
houses were
Yes.
being marked.
Yes.
So you don't really want to name them in a website, maybe?
No, I don't think. But when a person want to enter for these houses, at the entrance you can see this notice. It's on Thai language. It's in English, Sinhala, and Tamil, and then it's the notice say that this house, this place is under quarantine process.
Oh, okay. That's excellent. But pushing the point again, you don't know. You don't think that? Do you think it's a violation of their privacy? But surely, what privacy?
No, under the Quarantine Act, you are empowered to do that, because when you
Yes, what I mean is, can't we go one step further and make known these
yes, for
names?
us, yeah, that is your suggestion. Yes,
Yes.
that have to be decided
Yes.
by these the expertise, the medical officers and the top level. They have to decide it whether this have to be.
This, my
published or-
suggestion is not always the best.
Yes.
Oh, well, what a pity. I made a suggestion on Face the Nation the other day, but we won't talk about that.
Yeah.
Now then, do you feel that the police are doing enough, maybe through social media, to drive the point home, especially to the younger people, that this matter is really serious? As you say, the 11th hour. This is the final call.
Yes. Media is doing a very marvelous job at this serious situation.
Yeah.
But some people, especially I have noticed in social media, some are spreading fake news which are affected to the combat in this process, because last couple of days there are so many people, because their ulterior motive is something else.
Well, actually, just like you've come on the program today, and you've been on other programs in the past, in the recent past, this morning we've got the head of the committee to fight this COVID-19 menace, the Army Commander, Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva. He's actually also, he's not on television this morning, but he's on the radio this morning on ESFM from 7:30. So even he's taking time out and he's talking with the media. You're on TV, and you know, I would have loved to see him seated here as well, but maybe he'll come later. But so you're all taking the message forward. But do you think we're doing enough in terms of with social media?
Yes, that's right. That's why I told earlier also. The social media, a lot of community people who are involved in passing messages, but I have noticed in some instance they are spreading the fake messages, and it is not strengthening this combating process. They are, the criticism is something else, but disencouragement of these medical officers, the law enforcement officers, because Triforces and police and all others, especially the medical staff, doing a marvelous job at this moment. You know that at the moment 2 doctors were infected by this disease, but apart from the life threat, everyone is involving in this process. Then you must be very carefully handle the media, especially the social media. I urge the people, community, to act in a very responsible manner at this very crucial situation.
Now then, many messages, thank you. And one of them asking me to take me to task about it's naming and shaming the curfew violators, not the people who have been exposed to this virus. That is only to name them. So I want to make that clear. I say to you, why don't you name and shame the curfew violators? But in terms of people who got exposed to the virus, can we not just name them? Not to shame, because it's, you know, it's not their fault, but at least as a responsible act, so we know, look, these are the people, and even if they've missed it or something, at least the names are there. So if you are coming into contact with anyone on that list, then you too will know that they've been exposed.
Actually, this is happening, though it's not published. When we found a patient infected by this disease, his entire history will take down, and we that under this process only we are doing this most of the self quarantine issue, because now if we found this A is infected, then his entire history for last 14 days or more longer may be taken into the consideration. And we are act according to that. You see that there was a faster who came from Switzerland, and he is involving in this religious issue. But when we found he is infected by the COVID-19, we got down all his movements from the time he arrived to Sri Lanka up to his departure, and all these places were under quarantine process, and some of them have kept under serious surveillance, under self quarantine, and this is happening. Though we have not exposed their names to the public, this happened. At the moment, over 21,000 people under self quarantine process and under the police surveillance.
21,000 or 2,000?
No, 21,000, 8,500 in the Western Province itself.
Under observation?
Under observation means self quarantine, because they were restricted to their residence.
Right.
Yeah, quarantine places, the personal.
And when they are restricted in this self-quarantining, are you putting notices on their houses?
Yes. The notice were placed in their houses, and not only that, the police, the PHIs, the public health inspectors, they are continuously supervising their movements.
What about DIG Priyanta Jayakody? We're in conversation with DIG Priyanta Jayakody, obviously from the Sri Lanka Police. what about these people who have, like the workers in the health sector, and they're living in private accommodation, and now some of them may be told that the householder may be nervous to keep these health workers in their homes. What do you say to people like that?
Yeah, most of these health workers at this moment, they are doing a very wonderful job.
Of course.
And keeping the threat against their life by side, and they are working for the betterment of these infected people.
Yes.
And I have seen in the social media certain issues. Some people have refused to cater them in their houses, but that's not confirmed. But the health ministry has taken very stern action to provide their accommodation and the transport and all those basic requirements. Even police officers were allowed to use their personal vehicles to come to their workplace, and everything. The government is doing their job. As I told you, the two segments are working perfectly.
Right.
Because and the main problem is the most important part, that means the community segment. Our major question is whether they are working according to the spell of those two segments. If we can involve all three segments together as a combination, definitely I am 100% sure that we can eradicate this problem from our country, from
we
our
can
motherland.
flatten the curve.
Yes.
That's what we want.
Exactly.
The curve to be flattened.
Exactly.
All right, so we can flatten the curve. Now then, this is a good question. Various catering companies or caterers are offering to deliver food even during curfew hours. Can the public have an authoritative assurance from the health ministry or other officials that it is safe for us to buy such food, as their operations are closely monitored by the health ministry?
Yes.
There are two questions there. One is obviously we talk about the quality of the food and so on, and the other is, are they allowed to move about freely, these people who are delivering?
No, for us the problem is, this is a very unexpected situation.
Yeah.
We have never focused this on this much serious.
Yeah.
But the problem is, now we have to do these social balances, because with the curfew, one hand we'll have to restrict the movements of the people.
Right.
The other hand, we'll have to feed them. People have to eat. People have to get their medicine, at least their basic requirements. In those commodities, the police and the security forces and the authorities has taken very positive steps. That means now the vegetable issues, from now we have allowed vegetable lorries to come to Colombo, because and the coconut from these particular coconut developing areas, we have allowed them to come to Colombo. Otherwise, we have to face for a starvation. And this process is under control, under supervision.
A question from the hill country, from Nurelia, is asking whether people like yourself, the members of the tri-forces, whether your families are, because you're working every hour God sends, in the meantime, are you all being looked after by the authorities? Are you all getting your foodstuffs in and so on to your homes?
Yes, yes. At the moment, we have no such a problem arose, but the welfare section of these tri-forces, police and all the other institutions are working on it.
Good.
Yes.
Good, because the public are concerned.
Correct.
That perhaps your home is being neglected.
This situation is not new to the Sri Lankan security forces and the police.
Right.
Because we have faced for 30 years so long
with
war.
That other chap in the north.
Yeah, in the crucial situation we have faced. But the problem is, this time the enemies, the mode of enemy is totally different.
Right.
But even we have to face this, because I knew that if the people can follow the instruction, if these three segments can work together with the same spell, definitely for us we can defeat and we can eradicate this epidemic situation.
And DIG Priyanth Jayakody, when you are doing your job, when you're out there doing your job, How aware are you of this enormous responsibility that is on your shoulders? Because, like you said, this is the 11th hour. You get it wrong, or if these people fail to understand, you know, the curfew violators, if they fail to understand the people, not only the curfew violators, people who have been exposed, if they're acting irresponsibly, what it means is that you are, in effect, committing a grave crime, because it can be life-threatening. How aware are you of this big responsibility when you're out there?
Yes, for us, of course, this is the most important part of this talk, because now we have identified people whom have associate with the suspected or infected people,
Right.
and they are under self-quarantine process,
Right.
and their main duty is to be there. Now you have seen the yesterday they were released after 14 days after issuing the clearance certificate. Now yesterday from Kandakadu quarantine center 385 people were released, because
Yeah.
now they are on the free society.
Yeah.
They reached the infected free certificate, and like that after 14 days complete.
So they've gone home.
They have gone home yesterday with the assistance of the army. They are very happy, and they have gone home for the 3 destinations from Kandakadu.
Yeah.
Like that, now people, just my humble request
Yeah.
to the people is, please understand this problem, and please cooperate with the security forces. When they impose the curfew, please follow the rules strictly.
Right.
And if you are notified as a self-quarantine person, please be strict on that instructions. And these are the major issues what we face. And if we can do this process according to this, under these instructions, under these medical expertise opinions and their help, definitely this won't be a big problem to the country.
And whilst you've been on air with me here, DIG Ajit Rona has put out the latest figures of people violating the curfew. 3,700 people have been arrested thus far, along with 715 vehicles. This is an increase of approximately 1,700 since yesterday.
Yeah, day before yesterday
The day
morning.
before yesterday when we were
Yes.
there. So it looks like, for all the coverage, all the valuable airtime that we are putting out, and all your invaluable work, it looks like the message is not going across.
Yes,
What's wrong with these people?
exactly.
Should we bring the Indian police here? Shall we play that clip again and show them? Let's play that clip again. Let's see how the Indians and Americans sort this out. Let's play that, please, Harshana. And then it'll be up on the screen shortly. Isn't it? Is that what we want? Let's just look at this. This is India. There's this chap there without a helmet. Look,
He's on rampage.
they've got cane going.
Yes.
चुटकियाँ डिस्कस कर रहा है पुलिस से और मार
They've got the sticks out. They're hitting them. There you go. Good whack. And his friends left him and run away. Goodness me. Oops, there you go. Crash.
I think this is in Miami.
Yes, this is in Miami. It says there. Is this what people
I think they are firing the rubber bullets.
The rubber bullets, yes. He's not dying, is he?
Yes,
Did they hurt?
correct. But as I told you earlier, we are not expecting this sort of situation and the restrictions against the Sri Lankan
Right.
community. Our
Yeah.
community is more civilized, but there are something to be done.
Yes, but
And
you
especially
see, I've been waiting, I've been following these figures right from the beginning. You know, 1,589 became 1,794, then it became 2,000,
Then it has become
2,036 is
3,000
now
now, almost
3,700.
3,000,
You know,
4,000.
I want to see this figure coming down, because then we will all know that the public are understanding this, respecting the law. What is the problem that we have in this country, that people can't follow the law?
in previous situations, that's why I informed you earlier also, and our curfew, imposing curfew is much related to the security issues, because some of our segment of our community has not adopted this situation, because most of the people have identified the current situation, but there are some minor, that means minor percentage like 3,000, they have not identified the current threat, or they take this as a very loose issue. That is why they are violating curfew and going against the law of the country, and I am very respectfully urging the community to cooperate with us, cooperate with the security forces, cooperate with the medical staff, cooperate with these health officers in order to eradicate this epidemic situation from our country, because that's why I told you this is the 11th hour, this is the last moment, and we have to, as a community, as a people, as a society, and please take this responsibility, don't take this as a very lenient way.
Finally, we've got another last question, because before I go, it's a statement really. It says, good morning, and to the police, accept our gratitude for the service that you've all rendered. With regard to the behavior of the community, perhaps the main problem is getting essentials. Is there a case to close Manning Market and then open mini markets in playgrounds in the localities, so that you take the food to the communities, and
Yes.
because otherwise by the time you queue up,
Now yesterday government has appointed a special task, the task force, that means to distribute the essential foods during this curfew hours and the
Right.
curfew period, and it will be work with the large scale, with the association of the traders, the supermarkets and all, because definitely it will happen, because the people won't allow to die. Their commodities, the requirements will be, there will be a system to serve to their doorstep, because that's why I told you, not only the people, you see that I have seen so many instances where the police and the security forces involving in distribution food to the animal, because we'll have to do the social balance, and this to the poor people who are on the road, and everything we have to consider this under this situation, and definitely we are requesting, we are urging from the community to help us, to associate with us, to be with us at this crucial moment. Definitely we will be able to eradicate this epidemic situation.
DRG Jayakuri, thank you ever so much. We really appreciate your time, and we've got here the main thing. This is the big weapon. This is the best weapon, which is the hand sanitizer. So get yourself, and like we keep saying, and like we've been reminding people, a good hand sanitizer must have at least a minimum, according to the WHO, the World Health Organization, at least 60% content of alcohol base. So don't forget your hand sanitizers. Remember to obey the rules, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Faraz, I take this opportunity to thank TV1, the Faraz and all the staff on behalf of the Inspector General of Police and the Sri Lanka Police to give this opportunity to educate the people over this issue.
Indeed. Thank you very much to everybody who puts out this program and all the others too, from the control room behind me and to the main control room in the Panama. We haven't forgotten everybody. Everyone is playing a key and dynamic role in bringing this news to you. Take care, and remember, together we stand as one. Take care, and God bless.
Faraz,
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.